let's start with the introductions. I think the three people that you can see on the screen are myself, Kathy Young. I'm the Chief Academic Officer from Blyth Academy, and I'm very pleased to meet with you this evening to talk about our International Summers program. Brian, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Brian Bana. I work with G Hardy Tours. I am an experiential learning leader. I've been involved in taking students on summer learning opportunities to take courses for about 20 years. And now I do customer service and customer support, and I still lead trips. And I'm very pleased to be here and answer any of your questions you may have about the travel component of the program.
Brilliant. Thank you, Brian. And Catherine, just a quick overview as well.
Oh, I'm Catherine Zabel. I'm here in the admissions department. And so after the presentation, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to the team here at admissions, and we're happy to help you with everything.
Perfect. So we'll get started. I'm going to lead at the beginning, but Brian and I are going to go back and forth a little wee bit. As I welcome you, I'll give you a tiny bit of my background. I got started in travel experiences when I was a principal in Waterloo Region many, many years ago. And it actually was through my daughter who went on one of these summer programs. And it was such an amazing experience for her that I started leading these trips as well. And now I've been involved for more years than probably either Brian or I would like to confess to. My very most exciting experience that I had in student travel was I took a group of students in global high school with Blyth around the world for 8 months. We visited 4 continents, 8 months, and had just an amazing experience. So I'm a huge believer in international travel, and I think it really broadens kids' minds and it opens them up to the broader world. So I'm pretty excited about introducing this group to our programs. Okay, and I'm trying to go to the next page. And it was working a minute ago, Catherine, and now it's not. There we are. I think we can skip past this screen because you've met the team, myself and Brian. Overview of the evening. We are going to talk about our program staff, academics, what's included, accommodation and meals, supervision and safety, our destinations, and then have time for a Q&A at the end. As well, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please put those into the chat, and Brian and I and Catherine will do our best to answer them throughout the presentation. So, International Summers. We will start with a quote from parents of our one of our students from last summer. They were obviously really excited about the program and the opportunity that it provided for their child. I'd like to highlight other information on this page. Effectively, between the two companies, we have 75 years experience traveling with students, and we have facilitated more than 50,000 students traveling abroad. Why would you travel with us? 3 pillars. We base our commitment to you as families on 3 pillars. Academic excellence. Blyth Academy is an accredited private school, or I should say an inspected private school, inspected by the Ontario Ministry of Education and authorized to grant credits. Our credits are accepted at all universities and in exactly the same way that any other school's credits would be accepted. As I mentioned before, we have decades of experience. G Hardy Tours has been operating for 37 years. Blyth Academy has been working in travel for 47 years. Our #1 commitment, and you'll hear this over and over in tonight's presentation, is to safety. We really believe that it's important to provide a safe, fun, educational experience for our students. So in that vein, and this is actually a picture that you see at the top of myself in the middle with the hat. I don't know if you recognize me or not. And 3 of our teachers and one of the Georgia Hardy leaders that were with us last year. Our teachers are enthusiastic. They're excited. We choose them carefully so that they relate well to students and offer not only a solid curriculum, but a really positive experience for our students. Our staff are also well-traveled. We want them to be able to adapt to the changes that happen, the issues that arise, because as anyone who's traveled knows, lots of issues arise on travel. So we want our staff, to be experienced and able to adapt. OCT certified, Ontario College of Teachers certified. We travel with certified teachers. Some of them come from Blyth Academy. Some of them come from the Toronto District School Board. Some of them come from other private schools or public schools in the area. So lots of good, enthusiastic, well-qualified teachers are who you will meet on our trips. Our principals, similarly, are chosen carefully. They are primarily responsible for the logistics. They're the main point of contact for parents. We know that it's important for parents to be able to get in touch with the principal on the trip, and they will be readily accessible and always available. They're also responsible for discipline, if any should arise. We hope that there is no particular need for discipline, but there sometimes is. They're responsible for enforcing the curfew and just making sure that everyone stays safe and within the rules at all times. They go the extra mile. That's one of my expectations for them when I hire them, that they will be there to help students if they need to go to the pharmacy, if they need an additional experience, if they need to call home, if in an emergency they need to go to the hospital. Our principals are the people who will facilitate assistance for our students in all circumstances. Academics, we've talked a little bit about this. Our credits are all issued, the credits that students earn on these excursions are issued by Blyth Academy, and they are recognized by the Ontario Ministry of Education and by universities. Personalization of our classrooms and our curriculum is one of the hallmarks of Blyth Academy. We have small class sizes, both on these trips and in our academies and our regular campuses. And we pride ourselves on the fact that our students develop a very positive and close relationship with their classmates and their teachers, which helps those students to be very successful. We want kids to do well. We want them to earn great marks. And we do everything that we can to help make that happen. We use a platform, an educational platform called OSSD, again, both in our campuses and in our summer programs. All course materials, resources, lessons, assessments, marks, everything is on OSSD. Students have access to that at all times, and so do parents. We want parents to know how well their students are doing as they travel, and we know that you want to be in touch. OSSD provides a really positive way for that to happen. Courses available. I'm sure you've looked at that as you've looked at the trip. Different trips have different courses, but this is the list of the main courses that we offer. We see that most of our students on these trips will take English. That's usually a very popular course selection. Photography, though, is also quite popular. It's fun. Students learn to be photographers while they're traveling around, and what better place to do that than on an excursion. Classical civilizations, functions, history, international business are some of the other choices. Parents have asked me, I've received a few emails, do students get to choose? The answer is yes. When you register for one of these excursions, you will not at that stage choose your course, but you will have the opportunity to choose the course from among those that are offered on the trip. We will be in touch with the registration or with the registered students once we get a little closer to the date. What does a typical day look like? It's really hard. It's really hard to talk about a typical day when you're traveling, but what we've tried to do is pull together as close as we can to what a typical day would look like most of the time. So breakfast first thing in the morning, and then classes in the morning. That's typically the way the day runs. Then lunch, which students will have on their own. Afternoon, maybe lots of different things. It may be students having different experiences themselves. They may be working on their homework. There may be tours that have been organized. They may be out with a group of friends exploring the surrounding area. Afternoons are very varied. Then dinner, we all have dinner together every night. The evening, again, varies from day to day. Homework, free time, group exploration. We do allow our students to be out in the evening and have some time with their friends in small groups. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but we always insist that students sign in and sign out at this point in time. We insist that they are in groups of 4 so that we know that they're safe. And then, excuse me, we need to know where they're going. That's part of the sign in, sign out process. Curfew varies. We've put 11 o'clock on the typical day, but that will vary depending upon what's happening the next day. If students have to be up early for travel, maybe the curfew is a little bit later. If it's the weekend and students have earned our trust, maybe it'll be a little bit later. So that will be set by the principal each day, and it may vary. As I mentioned, this is a typical day. Sometimes, often what happens, actually, not often, sometimes there will be full day excursions. So maybe we wouldn't have class on that day. There really aren't typically classes every single day. If indeed we had a number of full day excursions in a row and we needed to get some extra class time in, maybe we'd have class morning and afternoon. So we're flexible to try to make it the best possible experience that we can for students. Important to know as well that classes are not always Monday to Friday with weekends off, because sometimes Monday to Friday is the best time to go to see those sites because they're not so busy. So classes might happen on a Saturday and more free time might happen on a Tuesday or Wednesday, for example. I see a question in the chat. Are there immersive French classes? No, unfortunately, we do not do French as part of our program. Okay, moving to our next. Safety and supervision. I've talked about this a little bit. I'll talk about it a little bit more, and then Brian, I'll give you an opportunity to talk about insurance. As I mentioned earlier, our students' health, safety, security are #1 priority. So we use a sign-in, sign-out system so that we know where students are when they're not with us at the hotel or in their classes. They sign out in minimum groups of 4, although if it's a small area, if it's a very safe area, we, on occasion, with permission from the principal, would let students go out in a group of 3. 0 tolerance for alcohol or drugs. Medical access, we're very careful to be sure that we always have access to doctors if we need it, quick response, and high quality medical access. We actually had a medical incident on one of our trips last year. Student was feeling ill. We took them to the hospital immediately. They had to be transferred to Athens, which worked out well. Principal went with them while I stayed with the other students at the hotel. And so we were very responsive, as we would be every time, and just make sure that students' health and safety is our first priority. Brian, do you want to talk about insurance?
Sure, Kathy, thank you. So as the slide notes, travel insurance is required for participation in the trip, and G. Hardy is offering a plan. The cost is $380, and it's what we call a comprehensive plan. So there's a copy of it in the digital brochure, a copy of the full policy for your review. But if you are looking at insurance with other providers, we would encourage you to sort of look for 3 things. There's sort of 3 pillars in a comprehensive policy. You want to ensure that your insurance has trip cancellation. So in the event that your son or daughter is unable to go on the trip, that you will have coverage. You will also want trip interruption. So if for some reason while the student, your son or daughter is on the trip and they have to come back to Canada, that is also part of the policy. And finally, emergency medical. In the event that hospitalization or some emergencies require that you have coverage for that. So those are the sort of 3 pillars. Our comprehensive plan provides coverage for all those: trip interruption, trip cancellation, and emergency medical. Those are the 3 key things that you should be looking for when you're shopping for insurance. Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome. Okay, which programs are we offering? At this point, really, we are looking at 2 programs, Greece and Italy and the Grand Tour of Europe. I think I'm accurate. Brian, you can correct me if I'm wrong when I say that the Greece and Italy trip is nearly full.
Yes, very close.
Very close to filling up. So we would encourage you, if you're interested, to sign up immediately for that one. And Grand Tour of Europe is also getting some good response. So those are the 2 trips that we are looking to run this summer. Greece and Italy. So what's Greece and Italy like? Brian, do you want to talk about this?
Absolutely. So G. Hardy Tours for 37 years have been taking students on summer educational experiences. They're really the patriarch of the company, Georgia Hardy, was such a passionate and is a passionate believer in the transformative impact that travel can have on students, and has been bringing groups overseas for since the very beginning. This is one of our most popular trips. It's consistently excellent in that we use the same providers generally from year to year. We have strong relationships built with the properties, with the hotels, the restaurants, the tour operators, the coach companies, all of the travel infrastructure that is essential to running a trip effectively and smoothly for the students. We have built into this wonderful trip. So the students will start in Athens and then make their way to two islands, Paros. Kathy, do you want to speak to Paros? I know you were there last summer and the students raved about it.
They did.
Little island.
I can certainly speak to Paros. Paros was, I think we've got a picture of the hotel actually on one of our upcoming screens, but I'll talk about it now. Paros is a small island in Greece, and the hotel that we stay at is right on the ocean. So it's right on the sea, I guess I should say. So it was really an incredible experience for the students. Lots of seafood restaurants right around, lots of opportunity for swimming and water sports. And it just was a highlight for the students. We visited Antiparos from Paros as well, which is just a little island across the way, and had a fabulous day there. Can I talk about Santorini while I'm still talking?
Of course, please do. Go ahead.
Fira, we don't have Fira on here because that's the city, but Fira is in Santorini. And while I did not go with the students to Santorini, what I heard afterwards was that was the highlight of the trip. They loved it. They did some sailing, they did a moonlight, which we will do again, a sunset sailing trip. Again, lots of water sports, lots of hiking around those beautiful white buildings. So Fira, Santorini was really a highlight for kids.
Yeah. And then the group, about midway through the trip, they make their way by flight to Rome and to Italia Bella, where they spend the remaining time in Rome, and then they conclude their trip in beautiful Florence. All the transfers, we'll get into a little bit later. I think there's another slide that refers to exactly all the inclusions, but all the transfers are included in the price. So all of the ferry trips, the internal flight, there's one on this trip between Greece and Italy, those are all included. So what you see for the price, you won't be surprised by any thing. All the transfers and everything are also all included.
And just a little note in Florence, Blyth Academy is a school in Florence, Canadian School of Florence, and the students visited it and wrote their final exams there. It's an old palazzo that's been turned into a school. So it's a pretty cool experience as well for students to have. Grand Tour. Brian, I'll let you talk about the Grand Tour.
The Grand Tour.
Grand Tour it is.
Yes, it is. It is. So in the discussions around building an itinerary, a variety of factors came into play this year. I mean, we wanted to expose students and have an opportunity for them to experience as much as possible across the continent of Europe. So but it was also, we kept in mind that there's some particular things happening this year that impacted our planning a little bit. But one of the pluses is the 80th anniversary that's coming up of D-Day in 2024. So we are going to be spending some time in Normandy and in Belgium, and visiting some of the sites connected to World War I and World War II, and asking students or encouraging students to not only experience these things, but also to reflect on these profound historical events. The trip starts in London, of course, one of the great capitals on the Grand Tour, and then the students will go over into northern France and into Belgium. Then, of course, another great capital that they will have an opportunity to visit will be Amsterdam. And from there, they will make their way to Munich, and finally to Rome and into beautiful Italy for Florence, and we will end their trip in Rome. You'll see one of the great capitals on the Grand Tour is not there, Paris. That was done purposely because it is the Olympics this summer in 2024 in Paris. And but we are offering a day trip, an optional day trip into Paris. So students will have an opportunity to see some of the magical sights of the beautiful city and a very, very special time in France. This is a very big year in 2024 for France and for Paris particularly. So to have your sons or daughters to be able to see Paris in preparation for the Olympics is pretty phenomenal. So it's
Yeah,
it's a wonderful, wonderful trip.
I was just gonna say, sorry, Brian, I'm jumping in.
Yeah, please, yeah, go.
I've taken students to every single one of those locations on a variety of trips, and I would be hard pressed to choose my favorite. London is pretty awesome, and the students will have an opportunity, if they're the least bit in theater, to do some West End theater. But there are also so many things to see in London when I think about Piccadilly Circus and Trafalgar Square and just the safe city, Buckingham Palace, the West Mall, pretty cool place to be. How do you say Arras? Is that how we say it?
Arras.
Arras and Ypres.
Yeah.
I took students there many years ago on the 90th anniversary of Vimy Ridge, and those two places, visiting the Canadian cemeteries, visiting the historical sites, just really, really impressive for students. Amsterdam, probably a student's favorite city, I would suggest. Loved it.
Lively, great vibe, great energy in the city. It's cycle friendly and very green, and lots of wonderful, wonderful stuff to see in that.
Yeah, lots to do and
see. Really unique.
Yeah. The I love Amsterdam sign is pretty cool.
Yes.
Munich has some different things to offer. It's very interesting. Lots of German culture, lots of different, and I think we might have a day trip to, probably not Dachau. We'll talk about that.
It's the Dachau, yes.
It is Dachau.
Yes, it is.
If your child chooses to go on the Grand Tour, I would so recommend the day trip to Dachau. I took students there and I was a little nervous about it, quite frankly, before I went. And they just did such a good job at the site of discussing the Holocaust and what it meant in really sensitive, appropriate, students were educated without being demoralized, if that makes any sense. It was just such a wonderful experience for the students. And then Florence and Rome, no better cities than Florence and Rome to take students to. So great, a great tour. Might go on it myself, actually, Brian. I might go on it myself. Yeah. Anyway, Brian, talk about what's included.
Yes. So your return airfare is included. And we do have an option if you decide to do your own air. There is an air credit available if you would like to make your own arrangements. You just reach out to me directly and I'll work with you to coordinate that piece. All accommodation is included. We spend a lot of time picking our properties. And every property on our trip have been inspected by a member of our team. We never send a group into a place that we have not visited ourselves and inspected. One of the other things that we ensure is all of the properties are centrally located. We do not put student groups on the remote arrondissements in Paris or in the remote parts of London or far, far outside the center of Rome. Everything that every property we choose is very, very walkable in the heart of the city and are typically 3- and 4-star hotels. And we have long-standing relationships with these properties, and they know us, we know them really well, and they love our students. The transportation, as I mentioned earlier, is all included, all the transfers, the coaches, everything moving around from A to B, from the beginning to the end of the trip, that is all included. Breakfast and dinner is included every day. Breakfast is a buffet style at the hotel, and we also provide a group dinner. Sometimes we offer group dinners at the hotels, but we also have a network of restaurants that we use regularly, and really top quality and excellent food. And the students are always impressed by and our adult groups as well, by the quality of the restaurants. We pick them very carefully. Same thing. We go and we eat there. We visit them. We have relationships with the owners. They're often family-run businesses that we use. We don't generally take them to big chains if we can avoid it. So we spend a lot of time on that kind of careful discernment around where we'll be sending your sons and daughters. All taxes are included as well. There's city taxes often in many of these cities in Europe. So that has all been taken care of. So the students don't have to think about any of that. All of our properties have high quality Wi-Fi. That's essential in this day and age, and is particularly essential for students who need access to the internet to do research for their schoolwork, to work on their projects, to network in, if they're doing group work, access software. That's all there. The Wi-Fi is high quality in all of the properties. We offer city orientation to each of the cities that the students go to, so that and it's guided by a local guide, so that they have an experience of the city. They get to see some of the amazing landmarks, and they also get a sense of their bearings and the way to navigate their way around the hotel and the central location of each of the cities. Kathy, the academic instruction and materials all included as well, but you can speak to that.
Yes, academic instruction and materials are included. Students will, depending upon which novels they decide to study, purchase their own novels or borrow them from the library or whatever, but academic instruction is definitely included.
So what's not included? So there are a couple of optional excursions that are being arranged. So there's information on that in the digital brochures. More specific detail will be coming out about that later. There's a registration fee of $195. That is also not included. And finally, lunches. So the students have breakfast at the hotel, generally in the morning, and then a group dinner in the evening. Lunch is on their own. And we can speak a little bit later about how you can plan for that and budget for that as well. Oh, speaking of lunches and food and dinners, we will accommodate all dietary restrictions when a student registers. If they put in a request for a vegan diet, or they have certain intolerances, we will keep track of all of that, and we send that to all of the hotels, all of the properties, and all of the arrangements are made to ensure that any special requests are met.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Included excursions. You've talked a little bit about this, Brian, but maybe go into some more detail.
Yep. So city tours are included, as I mentioned. The museum visits for the itinerary, all of those entries are included, which is a big deal in the busy summer in Europe and Rome, and getting into these places. We book them very far in advance, sometimes a year out. We bulk hold tickets to ensure that we get the optimum times in our itineraries for the students for their visits to the popular museums that they want to go to on these tours. Visits to cultural sites, all of the admissions are included. The tours are guided, so we have professional blue badge guides, which are the highest quality guides. We only use blue badge and for all of the visits. Walking tour, as I mentioned, is included. There's opportunities for students to spend some time on a beach day. And I mean, when the itinerary is built, it's built very purposefully to ensure that the students, as Kathy mentioned a bit earlier, that the pacing is there for them. They're working on a course. They're seeing amazing sites. They're visiting things. So some of the days are very busy. So when we look at a couple of days, we also build in some time for them to get some homework done, to just kind of pause for a second and make sure that they're healthy and happy and energized, and not getting overly tired with all of the demands with the academics and the experiences that they're having. We provide opportunities for sports and athletics as well. So sometimes there'll be a beach volleyball game or a soccer game or something that's organized for the students. They have access to markets and shopping as well. So with our local guides, they'll take them into Florence Leather Market and make some good suggestions about where to go and which places to do and visit. And finally, we also include a extra special farewell banquet at the end for each of the programs, so the students have a way to wrap up and the amazing experience that they've had.
Accommodations. Brian, you've talked about this.
Excuse me. Yes.
Before I let you talk about it, I'm going to reflect on one of the questions that was asked in our last session, actually. What's the difference between Georgia Hardy and some of our competitors? Because clearly we know we're not the only game in town. And I want to highlight that I think accommodations are one of the things that Georgia Hardy does exceptionally well. The hotels are lovely. And most importantly, I think, centrally located. Our students are not spending a lot of time getting into the center of the cities. They're able to walk there in most circumstances. The beach, or sorry, the hotel in Paros is right on the beach. You'll see some pictures in a moment. The hotel in Athens overlooks the Acropolis, and we have dinner up there one night with the Acropolis in full view. So accommodations are really something that sets Georgia Hardy aside. So Brian, you
Yes,
talk.
thank you, Kathy. Absolutely. We spend a lot of time and a lot of discernment goes into that. And as I said, they're all inspected by us, and they're centrally located. 3 and 4 star hotels. The room occupancy is double, triple, or quad, and it varies from location to location. That's why it's like some of the hotels, for example, in Paris are quite small and intimate. Some of the hotels in Rome are bigger, and they have more larger rooms. So it does vary from place to place. But we do want to know if you have a rooming request, if your son or your daughter wants to room with their friends, then we keep a list of all of that, and we ensure that happens. But it does vary from place to place. One thing we will guarantee as well, that every student has their own bed. They are never sharing a bed. And of course, as it says there, they request a room together. Absolutely, it's not a problem. So breakfast and dinner and Wi-Fi is included. A central location means that nearby grocery stores, pharmacies, and restaurants are all readily available and close by. So if the students need something, you can very easily pick up anything that they may need.
Yeah. Laundry. Sometimes people ask about laundry as well.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 weeks, sometimes a little grand tours, a little more than 3 weeks, students may wish to do laundry. The hotels have laundry. That's never where I would suggest that students do their laundry, just because it's expensive. But because we use city center hotels, there will be laundromats and laundry services close by. So not a concern.
No.
Okay, moving on. I think next we have some pictures of some of the hotels.
There's the one.
Yes, the
hotel
one
right on the beach. Look at that beautiful Mediterranean blue. The Donatello, I stayed there just recently, actually, when I was in Florence most recently. Great location within a stone's throw of the Duomo, stone's throw of the central train station. Easy to walk to great restaurants. It's a terrific location. And a beautiful old palazzo. It's got tons of character, a gorgeous courtyard. The students could sit outside in the courtyard of the palazzo to have their breakfast. So it's a lovely place. The Athenian, yes, beautiful, as Kathy said. There's the view. It's absolutely stunning on that rooftop to have breakfast and to look at that every day. And then we're staying at the Ibis, which is an ultra-modern new hotel in Amsterdam. This is one of the other chains that we sometimes use. It's an excellent hotel with great facilities. Very well equipped.
meals. I think we've talked a lot about this. Brian, is there anything else?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, we can accommodate all allergies and any other dietary. We can accommodate. I think you could even change. We will accommodate. So you give us the information, we pass it along, and we make that as an absolute priority to ensure that there's lots of options for students at the breakfasts and at their dinners. Breakfast at the hotel is typically, as I mentioned, buffet style, and at lunchtime, students are free to explore local cuisine and explore local places on their own.
And they really enjoy that. I'm going to say, based on the travel that students, they really enjoy the opportunity to go out and make their own choices with their own friends or with their new friends, because they'll have made lots of new friends along the way. And it's a good opportunity for them to have some independence.
Yeah.
Brian,
so optional excursions. So we are offering some optional excursions this year. So there, as on the Grand Tour, there are 2 optional excursion to Paris. Oh, there's the beautiful Tour Eiffel, and to Dachau as well. Very powerful day. It's a wonderful experience. We're very worthwhile. And we have 2 other optional excursions. It's a half-day Vatican tour. They will see the Vatican museums and get to visit St. Peter's Basilica with a guide. And then there's a day trip, a full day trip to Venice as well. So they actually go by train and from Florence. The train trip from Florence to Venice takes about an hour and a half, and they spend a day guided, walking around St. Mark's Square, seeing the Doge's Palace, all the main sites, and they have some free time as well to explore an incredible place. Yes, so more information regarding the booking of all of the optional excursions will be coming a little bit later.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, I've got another question in the chat. Do many students join on their own without other friends? Absolutely, they do. So I won't type this, I will just respond verbally. Absolutely. So I would say that more, I'm never sure whether it's about half and half. I think more students come alone than come with friends, actually. Certainly. Brian, what's your thought?
Yeah, I would agree. I would absolutely agree. Yeah.
So no issues if my daughter went alone. I'll tell a little personal story here. My daughter went, she was just finished grade 11 and she was young because her birthday's end of October. So she left, she was a bit apprehensive. She was recovering from mono, if you can imagine what a mother I am. I sent her away at that moment in time. But she wanted to go desperately. She was pretty apprehensive, a little bit, a little teary at the airport because she was leaving mom and dad and didn't know exactly what to expect. She came back and she cried at the airport when her father picked her up because she didn't want to leave for new friends. So certainly students make wonderful friends on these trips. She's getting married in a couple of months, and actually some of the people that she's invited to her wedding are people that she met on her grade 11 trip. Ratio boys to girls, I would say it's close to 50-50 most of the time. Ryan, again, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think absolutely. Yeah, I'd say 50-50.
Any other questions before we go on and talk a little bit about Globe Educate, Blyth Academy, Georgia Hardy Tours? Just please put them in the chat and we're happy to answer. Okay, so let me go on. Here we go. Globe Educate. So a few years ago, Blyth Academy joined Globe Educate. They're a global leader in K-12 education, big education network, 60 plus premium schools, over 35,000 students in 12 countries. As I said, we're going to visit one of our sister schools in Florence while we're there. So we're very proud to be a member of Globe Educate. Through that, our students who attend our campuses, who have the opportunity to participate in global events, virtually and in person with students from around the world. We are sending kids to the Model UN conference in Nice in a few months, I guess middle of March. Some kids just got back from Music Fest, which was, I'm not sure where it was. It was maybe in Spain. I think it was in Spain. So lots and lots of opportunities for our students to network with their global peers. And then international experts, because of our involvement with Globe Educate, it's solidified our expertise in international education, international travel. So we're proud of this accreditation that we've got. Blyth Academy, what would the world be without a little tiny bit of a sales pitch for Blyth Academy? We have 8 campuses across Ontario, 6 in the GTA and 2 up in the Ottawa area. Full-time programs, part-time programs, summer and night school in-person programs with small class sizes, average of about 12. We also have online programs, Blyth Academy Online, which are asynchronous online courses. Students can start and finish those at any point in the school year. We have Blyth Academy Orbit, which is a result of the pandemic, but we've discovered that there's still a demand in the market for virtual synchronous classes. So classes that take place just like this one, same schedule as a regular school. And you can do that full-time, summer, or night school. Then some of our campuses have a real focus on athletics. You might be aware of Blyth Academy Downsview Park, which has advanced hockey training, a TFC soccer program, custom fitness, CIHA up in Ottawa. We're in partnership up there with CIH actually. And that's basically a boarding school for students who are interested in hockey. So lots of different, we're involved in lots of different things beyond international travel, which strengthens our summer program because we've got our academic expertise to rely on for our summer program. Brian, Georgia Hardy. Talk to us about
Yes.
Hardy.
Georgia Hardy, as I said earlier, 37 years in the business of group travel. That's primarily what we do. Well, that's almost exclusively what we do. We lead student groups throughout the year, March break, and through schools all across Ontario, in fact, all across Canada. And we offer some very, very specific and unique experiences for schools. As I said, the 80th anniversary, we have history teachers taking students and with a focus on D-Day. And we have sports teams going. We have music bands performing all across North America. That's really the heart of what we do. So we have a lot of experience putting together trips for groups for students and ensuring that the experiences that they have are just top notch and run incredibly smoothly. We also do luxury family bespoke trips. So we have a team who, if you would like to reach out to me, and I can forward you along, and they do luxury travel for families and for small groups. Bespoke and by request. We also have a consultation service. So for example, you might say, "Oh, my dream is family. We'd love to do a safari in Africa." Well, you can reach out to us, and we have a team of destination experts and destination specialists who will be able to consult and to provide you with a lot of valuable information on how to put together a trip, and we maybe even be able to work together to put together the dream vacation that you've always wanted. So that's essentially what we're all about at GH.
Yeah. So we think it's a pretty good partnership. Georgia Hardy, travel specialists, Blyth Academy, academic specialists. And so we put together, we think, a really good opportunity for students. What did our students say last year? It's worth quoting our students. Experience of a lifetime, definitely worth going on. Teachers organized fun activities to mix with schoolwork, keep things entertaining. And Alexandra gave me the most wonderful opportunity to learn in such an exciting new environment. It's easy for us to pull up a couple of quotes like this, but I would say that if you were to ask any one of our students who were on this trip, any of our trips, they would say roughly the same things. Students have an amazing experience. They study, they learn, they typically do really, really well. They make new friends and they see the world. It really doesn't get much better than that when you're 15, 16, 17 years old, I think. So it's pretty special opportunity. That's the end of our presentation. We would encourage you to register soon as the spots are filling quickly. As I said before, our Greece, Italy trip is nearly full, so we would very much encourage you to register for that one quickly. Similarly, our grand tour is filling. So if you're interested, please register soon or reach out if you've got any questions. Please don't hesitate to reach out to Brian, to myself, or to admissions@blytheducation.com, sales@georgiahardy.com. Or if you're looking for more information, visit our website, blytheducation.com/travel. You'll find the digital brochures there. You'll find the register now button on each one of those brochures if you're interested in registering, or if you want some help to register, reach out to either admissions, Brian, or myself.
Yeah, I put my somebody asked the link where the registration was in the chat, so I put my my email up there, but it's also on the screen as well. Oh, Kathy, I'm going to add one other item. Just we were talking about the size of the trip. I didn't speak to that.
Yes, absolutely.
So we keep our trips very small. We don't send 140 students with 3 buses.
No.
Rolling across the French countryside or the Belgian countryside. That's simply not what we do. We are looking for 45 students would be our perfect spot for a trip to sell out, and then there would be 5 staff. So that would be a ratio, I guess, Kathy, of about 9 to 1.
Yeah, 9 to 1. We said 12 to 1, but really it's less than that, isn't it?
Yeah. That would be 45 students, 4 teachers, again, to keep the classes nice and small, and a principal. So and that's built very purposefully. It's one bus, which a bus in Europe would have 52 seats. We would be maxing out at 50.
Yeah. And I would say, again, having traveled with students on big programs and on little programs, having been responsible as a principal of the Waterloo region, because that's my previous life, I was a principal in a large public school. And we sent big trips and then we stopped because one bus, 45 students, 5 or 6 staff really is the sweet spot, in my opinion, for
I
a
agree.
successful trip.
And it really contributes to the sense of community, and the students get to know one another, and there's a sense of there's a bonding that happens when the group is a little bit smaller. So there's lots of reasons that we've decided that's we decided that a long time ago that's the best way to move forward, and that's what we do.
And that's what we do. Perfect. So unless there are any other questions, which we would be happy to take right now, that's the end of our presentation. Thank you so much for joining us. And we appreciate your time, whether you decide to join us or not. We very much appreciate your time. And we look forward, hopefully, to having you or your sons and daughters travel with us.